up in the stars. That's where you are. That's where you
Hello everybody and welcome to StarCast. Today I have my friend on, Blake. He is the cinematographer who helped me work on Abductions Anonymous, the short film we have coming out soon. So hello Blake, how you doing today?
Well, I could be better, but I'm slowly re-emerging into the outside world. I feel like I'm getting out of house arrest or something. But I'm sure everybody's feeling a lot of the same cabin fever that I am. I have not gone full Jack Torrance yet, but who knows? We have like 3 weeks left.
Yeah, I realized today just going for a short walk to get something to drink that the sun feels a lot better when you feel like you're not allowed to experience it.
Yeah. I will never take human contact for granted again. That is for sure.
Understood.
It's, you know that you haven't been around, people for too long a period of time when you start to miss things that used to annoy you.
Understood, yeah. I completely feel you on that. So, I just would like you to tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into filmmaking.
Well, my mom took me to see my first movie when I was 4, and I still remember it to this day. It's one of my earliest memories. It was An American Tail, the Don Bluth animated film. And after that, she started slowly introducing me to things that were way above my maturity level. Like, I saw the original Halloween when I was 6 years old. By the time I was 10, I had seen Terminator, Aliens, all these other things. And she kept just reminding me over and over again, this is pretend, and I was intoxicated by the fact that something that could scare me so much was completely make-believe. And then the question became, well, how did they do that? And then when I got into filmmaking, I've spent every film since then just trying to answer that question. Sometimes my vision is way beyond my experience, and then it's just a fact of, okay, let's figure out how we're going to do this. And it's so much fun, especially when you work with really talented people who know a heck of a lot more than you, and you pick up little tidbits from everybody along the way, because we're all students. Even people who've been doing this forever are still learning.
What you're saying, I agree with that so much, and honestly, I can say that I've become a much better filmmaker since meeting with you and being able to work with you on different projects, and just I've definitely become a faster cinematographer being able to work with you. And I'd like to ask you, what do you think attributes to your ability to be able to think on your feet, and what are some of the things that you've learned that have helped you become a faster filmmaker?
Well, I think it was Kubrick that said, if I get 10% of my vision on the screen, it's a good day. I definitely have just kind of learned to deal with the fact that not everything that, can happen in here can happen on here. And working in the wedding industry especially, you have to think on your feet. And time waits for no man in that scenario, and you're dealing with some of the most demanding clientele imaginable, and you get one shot, to try to make something that looks like you planned it. And you're going to have good days, you're going to have bad days, but at the end of it, when you do it enough, you really start to learn to trust yourself. And then when you're on set where you can actually plan stuff out, it seems easier. It's, you can take all of this stuff, you're used to thinking on your feet, and then you can plan some stuff out, and then when you have to think on your feet, it's super easy for you to just turn that switch on, and then you can just go.
Absolutely. And even on corporate shoots, it seems like that sometimes, where you're still in a rush, but it's not even as much of a rush as doing event work that's literally in fast forward the entire time.
Oh yeah, by the time you get to a wedding reception, if anything is 10 minutes behind, you don't just have a director, jumping down your neck, or a producer that's wondering where their money is going. You've got a DJ that has their own plan, a photographer that has their own plan, a banquet hall that wants to serve hot food. Sometimes, heaven forbid, a wedding planner who thinks they know all of your jobs. And those are the people you just want to punch them in the arm as hard as you can sometimes. It's nuts. So it's weird when, even the most stressful days on a film shoot, I'm always just thankful I'm not shooting a wedding. Even though I love shooting weddings, the most stressful moments on a shoot are never as stressful as that, because really, I mean, on a film set, they'll wait for you if you really need them to. At an event, they will not. They're going. And you're either going to get the shot or you're not.
What are a couple times when you were put in a situation where you just had to go and you had to make a quick last-minute situation when things weren't going right, and how did you recover from that?
Oh, there's so many. There are so many examples. Well, and the thing too, I mean, one of the best things that you can do as, an event video producer is just communicate. And even then, sometimes they'll just shoot you in the foot. Someone that you would not think you would even need to communicate with can screw things up for you. I remember being in the middle of the grand introductions of a wedding party. I was at a hall locally here, formerly called the Sterling Inn. Now I think it's like the Wyndham Gardens or something like that. They're walking in, and all of a sudden, someone in the back decided, I'll just dim the lights all the way down. And I'm in the middle of it. I'm looking around like this. I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? Who thought this was a good idea? And so I had to run over to the bartender in the middle of entrances, and I left 2 cameras just pointed at the door. I'm like, you gotta turn the lights up, man. I didn't, I didn't plan for this because you guys have the lights all the way up. Oh yeah, we leave them on all the way through dinner. Cool. Fail. Monumental fail. And things like that, little things like that happen all the time.
So recently we had the experience to see a lot of Brian's films on the big screen, one of them being Soul Survivors, which is a film that you had the ability to work on. I'd just like you to talk a little bit about a couple of the fun experiences you had working on that project and what it was like being a DP for a lot of it.
That was actually the first time that I was ever anyone's DP. So that was fun and interesting. And working with someone who I met, as a filmmaker, I saw his work up on the screen and then I became friends with him. And knowing how talented he was, for him to invite me into it, I felt, it's some validation, that you can't really put a price tag on. Unfortunately, I couldn't be there for the entire shoot. I had, events to film, and I believe 2 or 3 of the days that we were supposed to be filming. But I was there for a lot of the more complex sequences, and I think my favorite moment during the entire shoot was when I actually left a wedding, drove straight to Brian's house to start filming Soul Survivors after they'd been, I think, rolling for about an hour at that point. And then I took over, and we had to go up on the roof. And then as soon as the character climbs out the window to go up on the roof, we are about 5 miles away at my house. And then, because my house is much lower to the ground, so I'm not really sure if that's the difference between life and death or just a broken neck, but it's, it's not as far as to the ground as Brian's house. We get there, up on the roof. At that point in time, my boy Clark is maybe 1 or 2 years old. And all anyone in the house can hear, and we start rolling probably around 1 o'clock in the morning, is up on the roof. And so my wife Keena is inside trying to keep my boy calm because it sounds like a thunderstorm on the roof. And at the same time, she has to balance her annoyance at the fact that we're not rolling until almost 1:30 in the morning, with her terror at her husband being about 11 feet above the concrete. So I think she had the hardest time that particular night. But I was just, at the end of that night, even though I had an absolute blast, when I watch that scene, all I see are mistakes that I made because I was rushed, because we were missing something. We had to run and get it. We lost a half an hour. Then we finally get up on the roof, and I just couldn't light things the way that I wanted to. It still turned out well, but I guess that's just the curse of knowing everything that happens behind the scenes. When you watch something, all you're going to see are the things that you wish you would have been able to do. That's that's what I think of when I think of that particular night of Soul Survivors.
And listening to a lot of interviews and different DPs talk and different filmmakers, like that sign you'll hear from pretty much everybody is that thought of, you watch it up on the screen and all you can see are the mistakes, but thing of it is if you can get other people not to see those mistakes and they look up at it and go, oh man, this guy's genius. Like, I mean, maybe not that, but
Not quite genius. No, I wouldn't go that far.
but if they can look up and have a good time, and especially right now, like people need a good time. They need something to watch and have fun.
And that's something Soul Survivors, I think, definitely provides, because it's one of the few shorts that I, helped on or, helped make that I can watch and genuinely enjoy, where I'm not just looking at the mistakes, because I can appreciate just how, how cunning and witty the writing was on it. And the performances across the board were pretty good, especially Maria, who I met on, it was the last night of filming that we did before we had to do a couple of pickups for the first night of filming that we did. And that was when I realized that if you can film any place with a swimming pool that has beautiful lighting, built into it, a nice in-the-ground swimming pool, and it's a perfect summer night and the rain hits it and you see mist coming out of the water, even if you don't know what you're gonna be filming, just go out and film it, because it's gonna look like $1 million. And that was the night where I felt like we got most of that vision that we wanted up on the screen, And of course, it didn't start out that way. As soon as it started raining and we had just set up all the camera equipment and lighting, everybody was pissed off. But it only lasted for about 5 to 10 minutes, and the next thing you know, you got this beautiful organic mist coming off of the pool. I'm like, get that woman on the diving board. We are filming right now. It was great. It was a good time.
Definitely, when I was watching the film, it popped into my mind that, oh my goodness, this must have been something Blake shot as soon as I saw that pool sequence. Like seeing the mist and how you were able to light that, that was one of the scenes that really felt like a movie.
Yeah, that was fun, and that was one of the few nights that we started and ended pretty much on time. And making movies, that almost never happens.
Yep. Even me and you working together, just so many things can happen when you're on set. So if you do want to see this film that we're talking about, Soul Survivors, you can check it out on Bombastic Entertainment on YouTube. That's Bombastic Entertainment. Just search it on YouTube, and there also will be a link in the description below. And off of that, we're discussing some of the shots and how I saw that shot and thought, Blake, do you feel like you've kind of gotten a little bit of a voice as a cinematographer?
I'm not sure if I have a voice as a cinematographer. What I can say is that if it looks like I shot it, then it probably looks like Sam Mendes minus $20 million, because his visual style definitely has had a huge influence on me. He's made a lot of my favorite movies of all time. I love his use of wide-angle cinematography, the very slow creeping nature of his shots. It's not all fast and frenetic. He really allows you an opportunity to experience the mise-en-scène, the vistas, and really take everything in and appreciate the details. And that's something that I try to do. But really, when it comes to filming different projects, I don't think you can really have a style that's going to fit everything. It's all about interpreting the tone of a scene, and and sometimes even having a tonal shift within a movie. And that was one thing on Soul Survivors that I tried to really do, was the scene where everyone feels safe. It's a much more high-key scene. There's much warmer tones in it. And when you contrast that immediately with the flashback sequences, which tend to have a lot of blue colors in the background, a lot of shadows, high contrast, you know that you're stepping back into something that's more dangerous at that point. So it's really all about just not so much my voice, but trying to help the director find his voice and, express that emotion through images that you can immediately identify, okay, this is where we're at, this is what I'm supposed to feel.